Hi guys, I'm Dan Jackson. I'm the founder of pdhpe.net and I'm also an ACHPER board member, and I'm going to be leading this workshop with you guys on flipped learning. So what I wanted you to do is watch this video. I want you to take notes and stuff while you do this, and I've also got this up on Edpuzzle so that I can embed some questions for you as we go. So I want to do this quick because I want to keep it under 15 minutes. Let's go. So what is flipped learning? So number one, it is not just kids watch videos at home and then come to class and do other things. No. Flipped learning is about shifting what you do in the group space to now doing in the individual space. So normally you would stand at the front of your class and you would talk to them and present content, probably with a PowerPoint or a Prezi going on behind you. And so what we're going to do is take that group context and put it into the individual space. And that really enables your students to engage with that video at a better pace for themselves. And it also means that you're not wasting time waiting for Sammy over there to finish taking his notes, while Ellen over there is really just sitting there bored waiting for you to go to the next bit to continue talking. It also means that if you're going too fast and you're leaving people behind, those people can pause, rewind, etc. So shifting the group space to the individual, but then also the individual to the group. So in a traditional classroom, you would send your kids home to do some kind of homework where they're working on questions, applying, critiquing, analysing. You're now going to do that in class, in the group space, where the students have access to you, and that then increases the amount of feedback you can give them. It does all kinds of things for your lessons. So why would you flip? Well, number one, it's going to increase your class time. Okay, we're shifting away from the traditional teaching methods, which really focus on the lower order section of Bloom's taxonomy, where you're doing understanding and remembering mostly in class. We're now going to shift that understanding and remembering, that lower order thinking, to outside of your classroom, and we're going to have the students now in class doing the creating, the analysing, the applying, the evaluating. You're going to get your students doing those higher order thinking skills where they have access to you to really help them to progress in their understanding, give them feedback quickly, etc. The other thing that it's going to do is allow for some differentiation. As you present the content through videos, your students will pause, rewind, etc. And it really is beneficial, particularly for those students who struggle to keep up with you in class. Those students who start to fall behind in the early part of the year, and then by the end of the year, they're really struggling to understand anything because they've missed that content at the beginning. And so videos really allows the students to go back over it, watch it again. If they need help even while they're at home watching the videos, their parents can watch the videos with them and help them to better understand what's going on. And then when they come to class, straight away you have time to answer their questions because you've freed up that time at the beginning to do that in your class. The other thing it's going to do is improve your student engagement. So because you've flipped your content, all that extra time that you've got in class means that you can do all those excellent teaching activities that you've had in your head for ages, but you've never had time to implement. You've always been struggling, we all do for the HSC and for prelim, to get through the content. Getting through the content is difficult work, but flipping frees up that time and allows you to have fun, engaging lessons where your students are going to really start to like learning again. So, what about class? If we're going to do some watching videos at home, what are we going to do in class? Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to set up some small groups where the kids are answering each other's questions after having watched the videos. So the kids are going to watch their videos, come into class, and the first thing I want them to do is answer each other's questions, clarify a few things, and if they're still struggling, I'm going to walk around and listen to their conversations. And at the end, if they're struggling, they're going to ask me, and I'm going to answer that question in front of the whole class, because if one person has still got that question, probably the whole class still has that question. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I give lots and lots of feedback to my students. So now in my class, students are going to be writing their past HSC question answers. They're going to be practicing all that in my class. And so I'm going to walk around and provide feedback to them as they're writing it. I'm not going to wait until they've written the whole thing, submitted it to me. I take it home, spend a couple of hours reading through a pile of them, and then go back into class and give it back to them. That's delayed feedback. It takes time. It takes more of your time. In class, look over their shoulder, read it while they're writing it, give them feedback straight away, get them to correct it, get them to plan it, whatever they need to do. You can do the same for any part of your lesson. Whatever they're doing, you're walking around, you are active in your classroom, and so are your students. And you're going to give them lots of feedback on everything. And you can use all of your technology, you can use all kinds of stuff for providing that formative assessment stuff and getting that feedback to your students. So even now, you're going to get asked a question in a moment on Edpuzzle that's going to ask you to think about how you might use some formative assessment with your flipped learning. And here you have questions embedded that you're going to answer I'm going to see your answers. It's going to tell me whether or not you listened, which bits of this video you understood, which bits you didn't, and then I can straight away when we come into the workshop, I know that I need to actually have a look and readdress this topic, or maybe I can just let you all go free and make your own videos. Another thing that I like to do in class is project-based learning stuff. So I now can free up a bit more time to do those longer extended projects with my students. And so that tends to mean that so for me, I like to use factors affecting and improving performance, kind of join them end to end. And then I give my students projects where they are creating year-long training programs with nutrition and supplementation and recovery strategies in there. They're talking about physiological adaptations, improvements in performance. They're talking in a lot of detail about the different types of training and training methods. They're really looking at a whole range of different things within those two topics in a big project that they're doing with me. And of course, your students are going to love you when you do lots and lots of pracs. But I must make sure that I remind you, and this is always the thing that I make sure I tell every teacher, do not sit at your desk at the front and do nothing. Your job is to stand up, walk around. In fact, a lot of people who flip their classes, they get rid of that teacher's desk at the front and they just walk around the classroom. They set up their classrooms differently for social learning, where you have group desks, not desks all facing the front where you're going to present. You now have group desks where you're going to walk around and the kids are going to talk to each other, you're going to talk to them, and it's going to be a lot more fun and engaging environment. So, when it comes to creating content, there's different ways to create it. You don't have to make a video. Okay, you can do some reading. Set your kids to go and read about Michael Phelps and all the different psychological strategies that he uses. You can make an audio. You can record yourself talking and have your students listen to it. Or you can create videos and make them watch it. And videos is definitely the thing that people use the most in their flipping. Some of the barriers, and definitely the main barriers that people come up with when I'm talking to them about flip learning and why they tell me they don't do it. Number one is that they think the students aren't going to watch their videos. And do you know what? Some of your students aren't going to watch your videos to start with. And my high recommendation to you for that is that you use something like Edpuzzle or ClickView so that you know who's watched that video before they get into your classroom. And then as soon as they walk in, you give them earphones or tell them to pull out their earphones to go to the back of the room and to watch the video that you've made. Meanwhile, you get on with the rest of your lesson with the people who have watched it and make sure that lesson is fun and engaging. Do a prac, play Kahoot, do something where the students are learning but having fun, and quite quickly those kids who are missing those videos are going to start to watch them because they want to be involved in your engaging and fun lessons. Making videos can also be time consuming. And yes, definitely 5 years ago making videos was very time consuming, but these days making videos, it really not going to take me much longer than it takes you to watch this, to make this video. So please don't think so, and you're going to see in our workshop that making videos is definitely not as time consuming as people think it is. These days, with the amount of different technologies that we have that we can use to make videos, really streamlined, very quick, very effective. The other thing is tech difficulties. People think it's really hard to do it, but again, technology has improved to really make that a lot easier. And the technical difficulties and the time-consuming aspects really have to do with editing the video, but really you don't have to edit the video. When you stand up and present the content to your students, you make mistakes. You'll stutter over a word or something, but that's fine. You can leave that in your video. If you're a perfectionist, yes, this is going to take you a lot longer because you're going to edit those videos a lot to try and make it all perfect. Just don't do it. You're not perfect. No one is when they're presenting content, so just let it be. Now, for some basics for when you actually go about flipping your lesson. Number one, you need to get some buy-in. Buy-in from the students and buy-in from the parents. So you need to sell it to your kids, tell them why you're going to flip. Okay, yes, they're going to have homework. It's probably going to be less homework than they normally have. Because most videos, you're going to max those videos out at 15 minutes, no longer. So we're talking 15, 20 minutes of homework for your students versus whatever you would have normally given them. And then when they come into class, you're telling your kids they get access to you. You're going to have fun, engaging lessons planned for them. You're going to be able to do pracs again with them. You're going to be able to do all those excellent things that your students want to do, but you keep saying you don't have time to do. And then selling it to your parents at home as well. Make them a video like this one where you're explaining to them why you're doing flipped learning, because it's going to increase your interaction in class. It's going to allow your students more access to you to help them exactly with what they're struggling with at that particular point in time. And so actually, it's not you sitting at the desk and the kids watch a video and yep, good, the lesson's done. It's now actually you doing a lot more engaging and hands-on teaching and learning in the classroom. You want to make sure as well with your videos that you are going to create as much as you can. Don't try and outsource everything. You can definitely, as you start, use some of my pdhpe.net videos if you like. But the more you make, the happier your students will be. You also need to make sure that you teach your students how to engage with the video as they're watching it. So you can assist them with that if you put it in something where they have to interact with the video, answer quizzes as they go, or make comments as they go. But I train my kids to use the Cornell note-taking method. If you want more about that, you can see the flipped teaching resources page on my website. There's videos there, there's all kinds of stuff there for how to do Cornell note-taking methods. Then the last thing you have to do is think about where you're going to host your videos. So I like to post most of my videos on YouTube because it's freely accessible. Any student can watch it anywhere unless they don't have the internet. But then I can use other things like ClickView, which your school may or may not have. You can use things like EduPuzzle, which allows you to host a video and make it interactive for your students, which helps to improve their engagement. So you've got to think about your hosting. Now, this is it, I'm done. You're going to get ready now to come to my workshop. At the workshop, I want to spend as much time as we can with you making videos, with you making content, flipping your lessons. So bring at least one lesson to flip. That's number one. Number two, bring your technology. Bring your phone, bring your hands-free. You'll need to bring your hands-free. It'll act as a microphone for you to help improve your sound. Bring your laptops, bring your iPad, whatever it is you're going to use to make a video. And there's a list on that A4 sheet that you have access to. There's a list of all kinds of different technologies that you can use and softwares that you can use to make your videos. So please make sure you bring some technology to make your video in our workshop. And the last thing is be excited. I can't wait to see what you guys make. I'm sure you're going to make better videos than I do, and I'm so excited to see people get on board with flipped learning because I believe that it is going to revolutionize what happens in your classroom.